Hello and welcome to GrossiMath.com, where math is for everyone. Today we're going to learn about terms and expressions. This is the first video in our Solving Equations playlist, and I always tell my students that terms are the heart of algebra. They are the heart of algebra. If you understand terms, you will be incredibly strong in algebra. So what we're going to do over the next few playlists is we're going to really get into terms. Okay, so what is a term? Well, a term is a building block. It's a little, see this little square? I'm using it to represent a term. A term is a little chunk of algebra. Okay, and when you take those chunks and start putting them together, we call it an expression. Okay, so this is a single term, and this expression has 1, 2, 3 terms. Okay, now I should tell you that technically speaking, one term all by itself is technically still considered an expression. Just one term can also be an expression. But usually when we use the word expression, we're talking about multiple terms. Okay? All right, so terms are these little building blocks, and today we're going to learn how to count terms. So take a look at this chunk of algebra here, and you'll take my word for it that there are 1, 2, 3 terms. Each of these pink boxes represents a term. And you're going to say, wow, it must be really hard to count terms. No, actually, it's really easy. And that's why I'm making it the first video in our playlist. So how do you count the terms in an expression? Well, the first thing you're going to do is look for plus signs and minus signs. Okay, so we're going to start off. I'll just do these examples right here. Let's take a look at these two examples. So here, I draw a line and I start going until I see either a plus sign or a minus sign. Okay, so up, I see a minus sign. So I'm going to end my term there. When you see a plus sign or a minus sign, that means that you are going to begin a new term. So this is my first term. Okay, so now I see a minus sign. That means I'm going to keep going. Now someone's going to say, hey, there's a plus sign. Stop right there. Now I put this here on purpose. There is one special rule. Anything that's inside parentheses is not going to count for right now. Okay, so we're not going to count this plus sign. We're going to think of the parentheses almost like it was a little box. It's hiding the plus sign from our eyes. We cannot see it. So imagine that the plus sign is invisible because it's hidden inside those parentheses. So we go right past it. And now we see a minus sign that is not in parentheses. So right there, we're going to start a new term. So that means we finish this term and we begin a new one. Okay, so how many terms did I have? I had 1. Then I saw my minus sign and I started another one. So that's 2. We kind of saw this plus sign, but we realized, oh, it's inside parentheses, so that doesn't count. So we skipped over it. Then we got out of the parentheses and we saw another minus sign. So, okay, that was another term. So it's very, very easy to count terms. This is 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms. Now you might say, well, what does that have to do with algebra? Well, believe it or not, everything. Okay, and that's the secret. Algebra is going to be so easy for you. And I purposely put an exponent and I purposely put a fraction just so you can see that they don't affect anything about terms. The main thing that affects terms are plus signs and minus signs. So let's try this one more time. Okay, so here I am looking at another example. Okay, and here we go. Up, but now I see a minus sign. Okay, so I start my first term, and now I see a minus sign. And I go, okay, there, that's where my first term ends, and now I start my next term. Okay, so I keep going and going and going. And now I see a plus sign, but guess what? It's in parentheses, so I have to skip it over. Okay, so I got to the end. And that must be my second term. So there's 1, 2 terms. So these are examples of counting terms. You look for plus signs and minus signs. The plus signs and minus signs will tell you where to start a new term. Notice You don't go after. So that's something that's important. Excuse me. That's something that's important. You don't go after the minus sign. You go right in front of it because the minus sign starts the new term. The plus sign starts the new term. Okay, so plus signs and minus signs start new terms. All right. So let's take a look at some of these examples right here, and we're going to go ahead. You could pause the video and try this one if you want, but it's so easy you might even be able to just do it with your eyes. Okay, so let's start. Our first term starts right here. All right, now look, it has a minus sign already, so we can keep going. All right. Oh, and I hit the plus sign. Okay, so that means I finish this one and I start the next one. Oh, there's a minus sign. So I finish this one and I start the next one. Oh, there's the end. So how many terms are in this expression? 1, 2, 3 terms linked up to make this expression. Okay, let's try the next one. Now, I purposely made this one look funky. I put in a bunch of stuff. Why? Because I want you to see that the things that normally scare you about algebra have nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Okay? Or maybe not scare you, but might scare someone you know. Okay? So let's see. Let's get into this. All right, so first I draw my line here and I start going until I see a plus or a minus. Okay, I see a minus, but guess what? That one falls on our special rule. Parentheses, I don't count it, so I keep going. Okay, now I'm outside the parentheses and I see a plus. Okay, so I'm going to draw my line right here, finish this term, and begin a new term. Remember, don't go after the plus. It's very important that you go, the plus sign is the beginning of the new term. So you go right here. Okay, now I see a minus sign. I draw my line, and there I go. Oh, pi, are we going to do something special? No, we're not going to do anything special. We're just going to keep going until we see our plus sign. Drop down, finish that term. Go here, 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 finish that term. Here, 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 finish that term. Here, 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 finish that term. So how many terms are in this expression? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's start this one. So we start our first term, and look, here's a plus sign. So boom, 1. Now we start term number 2. There's a minus sign. Boom, 2. Now we go to the next one. Plus sign right there. Bang, 3. And then there are no more signs, so this is my last term. So how many pieces did I have here? How many terms in this expression? 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. So in this video, we learned how to identify terms. Okay. It's incredibly important that you do this. It's so foundational to algebra. You will be amazed at how good you will be at algebra if you're able to draw these little boxes. All right. So there you have it. We've learned about terms. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something from it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon. And of course, to visit the website where math is for everyone, www.grossi.math.com.